Episode 3, bro. Start it out.
Yo, yo, yo.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the beloved podcast, the award-winning podcast,
The Oscar.
nominated podcast. Basically an F1 podcast. I forgot the name for a second. Welcome, everybody, to another installment of this beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Dan Mendez.
And I'm your co-host, Chris Valerio.
I don't think have we ever introduced ourselves on the show?
Yeah, once.
Yeah, we should probably do that more often.
Yeah.
Because we're nobodies and no one knows us. We're recording this podcast a week late because of a scheduling issue last week. But we were going to be talking about the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix a little bit of a recap on that. And then we're going to be getting hyped for Australia.
For next week.
Yeah, I'm very excited. I love Australia. I have yet to see a live race.
Yeah.
Last time we were in Australia was 2019. Well, 2020, but they didn't race. So this is when the season, in my opinion, starts. I think that it's really important to start the season off with a certain race. And nothing against Bahrain. But I think Australia is round one.
Yeah.
I think it's earned that title. So, are you excited for Australia?
Actually, I am, yeah. Because we've seen a lot of people show their pace so far, and it's just like, I feel like it's interchanging almost.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw in Bahrain, like Ricardo and Lando in like 16th, 17th place or whatever it was. And now they're in, not Ricardo because he DNF'd, but
Yeah, but
Lando
they finished in the points. They
Lando
picked up
finished
their
in the
first points.
Yeah.
Now, I believe 13 cars finished that race. So
Yeah, 13.
points were only 18 cars started the race.
Yeah.
So should we talk about that? Should we talk about the DNFs?
Yeah, so
That was probably the biggest part.
so
of
the
race.
two DNFs even before the race were Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda. Mick Schumacher, of course.
DNS did not start.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yuki, and what was it? That was that before the race?
He was on his way to the grid from the pits to get started, and some issue occurred. I, for the life of me, cannot remember what it was exactly. I'm sure there are a couple videos that mention it, but
right.
The second week in a row, AlphaTauri has an issue. So yeah, bad luck for Yuki not starting his second Grand Prix of the year, but
Yep. Other driver Mick Schumacher. I mean,
that was a bit more of a dramatic. Did
Right.
not start.
qualifying. In qualifying, he crashed
That
pretty
was
hard.
scary, man.
Yeah.
You weren't watching live, but I was, and that
Yeah.
was my first time watching something like that live in a while. The only other accident that I remember being like sort of like that was Romain Grosjean. I didn't see that one live.
But that was a pretty scary crash, just
yeah.
like his was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those things that kind of suck the air out of the room, and you're like, okay, that's not a normal one.
Right.
Where, you're going to have the guy climb out and wave to everybody like, I'm good. I did see the footage. They were trying not to replay it too much. Thank you, F1, for not replaying it until we found out he was okay. I saw the footage of him going into the wall, and they didn't play the rest. I thought, oh, well, they're either not playing it or the T-cam fell off, so I just figured it was cut there.
Right.
But the whole crash is recorded, and it was pretty scary. Like,
Yeah.
his hands immediately come off the wheel, and yeah, it's scary. But the car fell apart like it's supposed to.
Right.
I remember I think it was Crofty who was saying that it was. It looks scary, and it is, but it looks scarier that the car fell apart because it's supposed to do that. Even your road car is supposed to fall apart if you have an accident to protect you. So we're glad Mick is okay. He was taken to hospital for checks, and he did not start the race, which I thought was a great decision. Also, I don't think Haas had another car for him.
Yeah.
Or wanted to fix that car to put him in the race and potentially crash again or score no points. I agree. I don't think that they should have ran a second car. Fittipaldi was there. He could have covered, but
right.
Yeah, I just don't think they had a spare car or wanted to fix that one.
Right.
I don't even think they can. I think they're gonna have to do another whole. This whole week has been really bad. I haven't been able to do any F1 watching, so I'm sure a lot of you are like, that's wrong. But I would assume that they're gonna be rebuilding that chassis.
Mm.
If not, good for them. Save a little bit of money, but yeah, that's a heavy one.
Yeah.
What was the highlight of your race though? There was other DNFs we'll get to, but
probably seeing Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc fighting like the very end.
Yeah,
I think that was like we almost got another Bahrain.
Yep.
I mean, we practically did.
No,
it was a different
way
outcome.
better though.
Yeah,
because in Bahrain, Max DNF had an issue and it ended, but I think that's just gonna keep going all season long.
Charles Leclerc and Max Verstappen are just gonna fight all season.
That's
long.
even better than what we got with Lewis.
Yeah, Lewis and Max. I mean, I think it's more interesting between Charles and Max because they have a history.
Yeah, I mean him
racing
and Lewis also. I mean, all the drivers have history with one another on track.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on the grid long enough, you get history with one another. But
no, I mean when they were kids.
Right. But I remember Max saying after the race, like, "Wow, that was close." That was, and then even Charles being like, "Ah, that was fun though. That was nice."
Yeah.
It's nice to have a race that close, and I believe it was the first race that close since Monaco 2010.
Wow.
Like Max is crossing the line and Leclerc is like 5-6 cars behind him, like nothing. Like if it was another lap, like Leclerc could have gotten it. And I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, Leclerc was like, no, legit. Like the DRS games are so big this year that like another lap around is like an eternity when you're that close.
Right.
So good job for Max redeeming himself. I think it was a redemption day for him after last year. And Bahrain as well for having an issue. Getting points on the board, him and Sergio. Sergio Perez, first pole.
Yeah, first pole in his career, yeah.
Yeah, that's the track to do it at.
Yeah.
if you wait 11 years to get your first pole.
Yeah.
It's you need some big ones dangling down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing is I think Ferrari kind of fucked him when they faked him out with the pits. Cuz Ferrari had tires ready for Charles.
Yeah, that's a trick. We've seen with Mercedes.
Yeah.
I think even Red Bull, like they've done it where they bring the pit crew out and they're like, no, one more lap. I don't think there's anything against that.
Yeah, and then of course
they don't.
Paris pits and then the yellow flag comes out
with Latifi.
Yeah,
I mean they don't know. No one knows who's gonna yellow. They don't know like, oh yeah, this is right about the time Latifi bins it. I mean, it's a pretty safe bet that Latifi's gonna bin it.
Latifi crashes every race this year.
Poor Latifi. I feel bad for him. Now that Mazepin's gone, I think there's a lot of spotlight on him.
Yeah.
There's always a spotlight on the top drivers. Like, oh, is he gonna
perform?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's also a lot of spotlight on the bottom
but
drivers.
I think that spotlight shines just as brightly on the bottom ones. Especially like with Guan Yu Zhou coming in the way he has. Latifi's been in the sport. He should be already at a point where he's
at least up with Alex Albon.
Even with Albon, he should be like, no, I've been here for a minute now. I know these guys better than you. I'm the number one driver, and I think Albon just showed up, and I don't know if he's just taken more seriously at the team. I don't know what it is, but Williams need to get get it together. And I think they're in a space right now financially that they don't need a driver like Latifi.
No.
It's actually hurting them at this point.
Probably.
Because, he's crashing in qualifying. He's crashing in the race and not scoring any points. And Albon's, out there, kind of performing.
Kind of competing with the other drivers.
That being said, he did run into Lance Stroll.
Right. But it's you can also see him doing, greatly better than Nicholas Latifi.
Yeah.
In the same car.
Now, I don't want to take away from Latifi. I think maybe he's the reason he's an F1. It's not just money. It's not just money. You do have to go through a lot to get into one of those 20 seats. Mm-hmm. But you have to look at the Oscar Piastris, the ones that win the Formula 2 champ and then don't have a seat. Mm-hmm. You have to look at stuff like that, where Oscar Piastri could get into a seat and perform really well. That seat's covered by someone that's not. So it's not an easy decision, I think, from Williams. But at the end of the day, Formula 1 is a business.
And they need to make the right call here. I mean,
money talks.
Yeah.
But I'm always a firm believer that talent always speaks the truth more than money does. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? There's only so long that Williams can go and ignore this before they're like, you know what? Are we really getting all the dollars? I have no idea, personally, the financial gain that Williams is getting out of the Latifi family, the Lavazza sponsorship or anything like that. But I'm willing to bet that a few more performances like that, Yas Capito is going to be like, you know what? Do we really need this money? F1 is big now to the point where Google is sponsoring F1.
Right.
A team. Not a team. Okay.
McLaren, yeah.
I personally think that if Williams can get some talent in that seat and start putting some numbers up there, they got the goods. They can
get a good sponsorship.
It's Williams. This is the team that won championships once upon a time. Right. That people fear, like McLaren and Ferrari, feared Williams. And
now they can't even compete for last place.
Yeah, and now Haas has done a complete 180 and is like, Williams who? We don't see their cars unless it's qualifying or the last couple laps of the race when we're lapping them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have no idea if they've actually lapped a Williams yet. But Magnussen's doing really well. Mick Schumacher, I think, is...
We haven't really seen Mick Schumacher too much.
Yeah.
Just in Bahrain.
Yeah. So...
And he didn't really do that bad in Bahrain either. He didn't. 11th?
Yeah, he
right out of the points.
Just out of the points.
Yeah.
Speaking of finishing barely in the points, Lewis Hamilton finishing 10th. Yeah. After qualifying 16th. Did a pretty decent job. I think the qualifying setup for him versus Russell was different. It was a gamble. It didn't pay off for Mercedes. Lewis out in Q1 for the first time since 2017?
Yeah.
Or 18, something like that. Yeah, massive disappointment.
I mean, he went up to, 6, I think? And then
he was up. He was up to Russell. I think they definitely did some sort of things.
I do remember him trying to go in the pit lane and someone was blocking.
That's honestly what it did.
Yeah.
That's honestly what happened. So, what happened was Fernando started having issues, first and foremost. His car is basically in limp mode. It seems to be a trend that these cars have is overheating.
Yeah. Which
kind of makes sense, the new regs, new aero,
the fuel.
Yeah, they're going to have different aerodynamics. Cooling the car is going to be a lot different than last year. So overheating, I mean, we saw it with Gasly last time. Overheating is just, I think, one of those parts of the game. Same thing with the Red Bull with their fuel issues. Right. Anyway. I forgot where I was going with that. Fernando having issues. At the same time, McLaren, Ricciardo having issues.
Right.
Daniel Ricciardo, not McLaren Ricciardo. Ricciardo having issues. Trying to coast into the pit lane, has no drive. And because they need to push the car into the pit lane, they close the pit lane. So there's no cars flying into pit lane while there's marshals pushing cars.
And that's what messed up Lewis Hamilton.
Lewis, learning from Monza in 2020 when he got penalty for going to a closed pit lane, saw the car, pit lane, was like, nah, not doing that again. I'm going to go back around. The pit lane was still open.
Yep.
As soon as he passed it, pit lane closed. It was just the worst luck.
And even like a few hundred meters after they passed it, like box.
Yeah, they're like, no, it's open, come in, and everyone boxed. Magnussen boxed, everyone boxed. So that was just bad luck for him. So he was up with George, I believe, at one point in decent points for where he started. Mm-hmm. Again, I hate doing this episode so long after the race because I forget so much, but. Yeah, he was, whatever, but he finished 10th. I remember he finished 10th because he got 1 point. Lewis Hamilton.
1 point into the championship.
7-time world champion. 1 point. And he said in the radio, he's like, is there even a point for 10th? And the engineer's like, yeah, there's 1. 1 point.
Yeah, she said that?
Yeah, at the end, they're like, yeah, Pete Lewis, that's P10. He's like, is there even a point for that position?
Because he's never been there.
Well, he has. I'm sure he's been that low.
He has been there, but not for a
he's
pretty
like,
long time.
He could have been just like being
joking
like,
around.
He could have been like, guys, we're not P10. We're at least P5.
Yeah.
And he's right. He's right in saying that because like, look at George. George Russell getting like no airtime. I don't think like
at
he
all.
Beat Lewis Hamilton in a race. Granted. The way he did it, but he did it. Beat Lewis in a race.
A rookie for Mercedes.
Yeah. I think he's fitting in really well at Mercedes. I think he'll do fine.
Yeah. I actually like him in Mercedes. I mean, he's a really good driver.
Yeah, I think they did a good call. I miss Bottas, but I think Bottas found a new home at Alfa
Romeo. Yeah.
I think it's better for him. It's a better environment. He could do a lot more. I definitely do see some podiums this year.
Yeah. For
him and for Magnussen. I'm calling it now.
Yeah, Magnussen is at least going to get 1 podium. I hope he gets 1 podium.
Yeah.
Because that would be awesome. Just to see a Haas on a podium.
It takes, it won't take long. All it takes is for the ones that start fighting, DNF, whatever, or even like just pure pace. I think Magnussen with some strategy calls could find himself in a podium position.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He's a podium driver. He got a podium on debut for McLaren as a reserve driver. So he has it. Or at least he had it. As far as Russell goes, I can see Russell getting a podium. We saw Lewis get a podium in Bahrain. It's not entirely impossible to believe. Especially now in the early season where there's so much reliability.
Where did Russell finish? He finished what, 5th, 6th?
5th.
Okay.
I believe.
So honestly, not bad at all.
It went Verstappen, Leclerc, Sainz, Perez, and I believe there was Russell behind him. I don't know.
Yeah, let me look.
Yeah, look. But decent showing for Alpine too.
Yeah.
Apart from Fernando,
DNFing,
and Bottas and Ricardo, from similar situation. Reliability is going to be the key now. Are the new cars reliable?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you finish?
Okay, this is 2021.
Yeah. No, he did pretty well, and I think it's so funny now that Russell's actually getting.
Yeah, George Russell 5th.
Yeah, he finished. I think it's funny now that he's finishing well, but it's for Mercedes, so it's like, yeah, of course he's gonna get points.
And Magnussen finishing 9th in front of
Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah, no, it is crazy.
Mag,
it is crazy to see
Mag.
every time the Haas fights. We've seen it twice now.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre to wrap your head around.
Yeah,
a Haas fighting Mercedes. Because Mercedes went boop and Haas went whoop, so they're now like level pegging.
Yeah, honestly, I can see Haas and Mercedes fighting in the championship
For like fourth.
For fourth place.
Or for third.
Yeah, and it's just Magnussen for like half the season, and then the other half starts to get better.
Yeah.
Honestly, I can see that happening.
I mean, I would see Mercedes winning that, though. Just because they do have two solid
No,
drivers.
Yeah.
Mick is no slouch. I feel like he could do it.
But it's going to take a while for him to learn.
He spent one season
Kevin,
in a slow car.
Yeah.
It was good for him to be in the series, but he didn't learn anything about. I mean,
I don't think he even finished in the points yet, did he?
No,
because he hasn't get any points last year.
He has yet to score points.
Okay. I hope to see that happen this year.
I think he will. They're in a lot better shape than, say, Williams were last year, and Williams scored points last year. So
they also had George Russell, which is not
Mercedes.
Yeah,
but
I consider Mick pretty good.
You never know. George Russell and K-Mag could be on the same level, just in different cars.
Juan Yu Zhou didn't get points this time out. I don't think, but did pretty decent. He had a very, very poor start.
Right. He went straight to the back. He was just outside the points. He got 11th.
Yeah, literally. The same thing that happened with Bottas last race happened with him. I think there's just some issue with the Alpha. I don't know if it's with the clutch or with wheel spin or whatever. Same thing that happened to Bottas. Bottas qualified really well, dropped down to the back, and had to claw his way up back into the points. Something that's way more believable to me than Haas and Mercedes is Alpha and Mercedes. I believe Alfa Romeo have the car to compete with Mercedes for third or fourth in the championship.
Yeah.
I think Ferrari's going to get the constructors. It's just the way I see it. I think they have the driver pairing. With the constructors, you have to look at the driver pairing. And
the drivers.
I just think they have a solid lineup compared to Red Bull. Nothing against Checo. First pole. Robbed of a win, in my opinion. I think that was his. But Checo's when it comes to Max and Leclerc, level. I think they are right with each other.
Yeah.
When it comes to Carlos and Perez, just different parts of career, just different parts of it, and Carlos I think has just a bit of an upper edge on Perez, unless Perez is in front. Perez will keep.
He's very
Carlos
good at defending.
Back. I mean, he can keep Lewis back. He can keep. I don't know. I want Carlos to surprise me. I want Carlos to win a race. I want Carlos to win several races this year. To be honest with you, I want him to be in the fight. Right now, he still is. It's not too late. But I think Red Bull have second place tied up in a bow for constructors, at least. Just based on everything that's happening with Mercedes and Renault power. But Renault's, Alpine's doing good, though.
Yeah.
Fernando and Ocon fighting for like 10 minutes.
That was bad.
Yeah.
They almost crashed into each other for at least 3 times.
The team didn't stop it.
No.
That's the best team orders there is. Just like, don't worry about it.
Keep it off their hands, you know?
Yeah. I think that was a good call for them. Just based off, like, listen, BWT, you called the right races to have your livery. I mean, maybe not Bahrain, but this one, you got your money's worth. You know, you want, let's do a special pink livery. You got your money's worth.
Yep.
You're like, we don't need the special livery this season. People know who BWT is. Like, 10 minutes, just back and forth. Like, when they finally cut back, like, Perez was, like, long gone, like, not long gone, but well ahead, had the lead, no problem, you know, and everyone was settled in. Like, it was pretty fun to watch. That being said, though, the TV direction in Saudi Arabia, you might not remember this because it was a bit foggy for you, whatever. It was all over the place. Like, there was a battle going on, and they would, like, show the crowd, and I'm like, I don't care. Like, you know, they're going into a DRS zone. I want to see who goes in it and who gets DRS and who. And then, like, Max would do something, and then they would immediately show a replay of it. They're like, I'm like, do that later. Do that after the race.
Show the fight right now.
You know, they lock up and are like, whoa! And then they go around the corner and Max is passing, and then they show the replay of him locking up. I'm like, I saw that. We'll watch it later. Don't put a replay when it's still happening. It's only live once. Like, just we have time for that after the race. Yeah. That's what the post-race show is for. It was so aggravating. And I know I'm in the media space. I know how those booths are, and how they can get and how that works. Put like a split screen, have the replay on the side, but still have the live action.
Right, no.
Every sport on earth does that. And this is WTF1 made a whole video on this. Okay, with Monaco and now with Saudi Arabia. It's bad sometimes. They need to figure it out.
Yeah.
They need to figure it out. But yeah, I mean that Alpine fight was fun. Fun to watch. But poor Fernando though.
Yeah.
That was bad luck. I remember
It was a bad luck for a lot of people.
Yeah, but it was a good race.
It was a good race.
Should we talk about though the track real quick? I do want to
how dangerous it is, maybe?
Yes, I do want to get to Australia. But because we missed last week, I really just want to get my thoughts out on Saudi Arabia. But let's talk about the track and how dangerous it is in so many ways. And how... Okay, let me pose this question to you. Should we be racing in Saudi Arabia?
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just such a dangerous race. I mean, for example, look what happened to Mick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that can happen to anyone. That can happen to Max. That can happen to Lewis. That can happen to Leclerc. Like,
it's the fastest circuit on the calendar. I think the only other circuit as fast is Belgium, Spa.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what they were saying. Except Spa has hills and it's a track. It's got runoff, and yeah, you can be like, "Oh, Arouge and Radeon are so dangerous." It is. They need to. They are figuring it out. They're actually reprofiling the whole turn.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's level ground and you have, I mean, Max Verstappen even said it. They have blind corners for no reason.
Right.
It's flat out. Make it straight. Like, yeah, it's cool that we're going flat out and turning. Make it straight. Because, like, I get it. Like, you want to have, like, this... It's a dangerous sport already. Like, you don't need to make it more dangerous. Like, I feel like whoever's, like... It's like, yeah, we got to add an element of danger. They're going around at over 200 miles an hour.
Right.
It's pretty dangerous already. You know? And I want to say, that turn where Mick went off, right after that, in qualifying, Ocon almost had the same exact accident.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just a bit quicker on the hands, and he kept it out of the wall. Or else it would have been the same exact thing. The way, I mean, I'm no expert, but the way the corner looks, it looks like you shift your weight, and then you got to shift your weight back. If you don't shift your weight back, I feel like I'm talking about motorcycles, but if you don't shift the car's weight back in a certain way, you're on the curb and you're skateboarding and you're just a passenger. Like, you can't control it. Just the way the turn works, it's fast and it's crazy to look at, and I think they're trying to recreate a little bit of Monaco with that, but no, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And also, why isn't there a safety? Like, if you want to make it crazy dangerous, like people can go off there if they're not careful,
make a safety barrier.
Put a safety barrier. Put some runoff. Something. Like, it's cool to make a turn challenging and someone might go off. Yeah. They might, and they probably will. So make it safe. You know, like, it's this weird thing. Like, whenever I see the track, I don't know. People like to talk about Russia and how it's boring. I will say Russia has a little bit more runoff, safety, all that stuff in mind.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about the turn 1 chicane. Like, after you go past turn 1, you have to go to the left if you go off the track and go through, like, this weird chicane. We don't have to go to Russia anymore, so that it's not even a topic for conversation. But I didn't fear Russia. Like, when we went to that track, I'm like, I don't really like this track. It's boring. But I didn't think that they were going to be, like, the drivers were going to be in danger by going here. This track, I am genuinely concerned.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, whenever I see a yellow flag on there, I'm like, oh, what happened? It's just one of the. And I get it. They want to punish mistakes, but you can punish mistakes with gravel traps. You don't have to punish mistakes with concrete barriers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. That's my take. So, I mean, apart from geopolitically.
Right.
Obviously, there's other reasons why we shouldn't be in Saudi Arabia. But I get it. Money talks.
Right.
And there are plans to move inside because there's an insane contract for Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how many years, but it's an insane amount of time, money that is being poured into Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So this is actually a circuit they built quite last minute. Eventually, they're going to be moving it to another circuit. My concern is, should we even give them the opportunity? Like, I don't know. I genuinely, I don't think the people in the country, in the region, whatever, should go without having a Grand Prix. But at the same time, there's so many awesome places that we could have a Grand Prix.
Like Portugal, for example.
Yeah, look, we're biased towards Portugal.
Yeah.
Obviously, that track is not that crazy.
But it's Portugal, so.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're biased.
But it does have history. It's been on the F1 calendar back in the day. That it has history, I don't know. I just, right now, Formula One's actually in this weird we might not have Spa soon because they need to have more time on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
We might not have France soon, which is not that big of a deal. But France is where racing started. It should maybe have a Grand Prix. Maybe not at the track it currently has it at. I don't know. The race last year was kind of fun to watch, but
I didn't see it the one last year, I don't think.
It was pretty fun to watch. If I remember correctly, Lewis and Max had some. I mean, Max won that race convincingly, and Sergio got third place. Red Bull really mounted a charge on Mercedes. But it was, the track itself is just, I don't know, doesn't create for good racing in my opinion. A lot of teams struggled in that track, and it's okay to see teams struggling with certain tracks, but at the end of the day, you just want to be you want to know, okay, Ferrari have a strong car. What? They finished out of the points? What? You know what I mean? That makes... It's just... I don't know. That's my opinion. My opinion on Saudi Arabia is I think it's just too dangerous to be there based on the events that happened during Friday practice.
Yep.
I'm not going to go into it too much, but...
You can look it up on your own.
You can look it up on your own.
Yeah.
There was a long drivers' meeting about it. And the drivers are actually asking for more input on where they race, which I think is fair.
Right.
They're the ones that have to travel there.
Yeah.
They're the ones that have to put their life on the line.
That's
in that
absolutely
country.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the teams and drivers should have a say. I think that before, when they're negotiating with countries and cities or whatever to have a Grand Prix there, they should say, hey, look, McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, what do you think?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And they might be like, oh yeah, of course. But Lewis might be like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. There's some civil issues in that country. I don't think that's good for the sport. I personally don't want to race there. You know what I mean? And he has the opportunity to say that behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Instead, Formula One goes, we're going to here. And Lewis is like, okay, great. I'm this activist. And not just Lewis, but Sebastian. Also, these drivers are celebrities. And they are people that do have an impact on the world. And they want to have that impact on the world.
Talking of Sebastian, is he coming back from that race?
Yeah.
Okay,
he's
good.
Back. He's good, healthy, back in good condition.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, now these drivers are now I have to be, okay with racing here. It's my job. If they just asked me, I would have been, no.
I think they should definitely have a say in where they're racing. I mean, especially...
I think that's only fair.
Especially the drivers.
I think that's only fair. I think...
Are they going to do that, though? Maybe. Maybe not, because, like you said before, money talks.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to have full say. I don't think if, Lewis is I don't want to race there. All of a sudden, they're well, 7-time world champion, we can't race there. I think they'll just take it into consideration.
Yeah.
But it's something. It's something that that they don't have now.
Right.
And I think that's important to know. Speaking of races that are coming up, Las Vegas.
Yeah, Las Vegas 2023.
I'm actually kind of psyched. I wasn't really psyched about Miami. I'm going to be honest with you.
Las Vegas. I'm
Las
very excited
Vegas. Yeah, dude. I would have been more psyched for Miami if it was like the way they're doing Vegas.
for that.
Miami is. They're just doing it in a parking lot.
Yeah,
They're doing it in a parking lot around a stadium, and it looks like Russia. Like the track, like I don't know. I mean, I have seen a couple of things. It just looks It looks like it's just gonna be Russia 2.0, and I'm not the only one that thinks that. But Vegas, it's gonna be a Saturday night race. On the Strip, I think it's gonna be really
But
good.
that's 2023, right?
2023.
Yeah.
We don't have to wait that long. We can maybe go to it. I don't know. Maybe.
Maybe.
It's
Live
gonna
podcast at the race. We just set up this camera.
Yeah, that'd be dope though.
Yeah, that would be dope.
Yeah. Now, not for audio, but
Yeah.
that'd be dope to go to. I've never been to Vegas. I would love to go to Vegas for the first time to watch
Watching
F1.
race, yeah.
Yeah, that would get me out there. I'm not a huge gambler or anything like that. So, yeah, Vegas was announced. We now have 3 Grand Prix in the U.S. I hope they don't start taking away from Austin to do something. I have mixed feeling about Austin. I don't think it's the best track of the season, but it's my home track. I'm not from Texas. I'm from the U.S. And that track was purpose-built to represent the U.S. And it was built in Texas to represent U.S. Like, I am still salty about the whole New York Grand Prix never going through.
There's a New York Grand Prix?
There was, yeah, in Jersey City, planned.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if you are in the New York, New Jersey
area, yeah.
we are going to be at an event called Slam by the Harbor in Jersey City, right where they were going to have the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
So you can, if you've never been there, it's I think a beautiful part of New Jersey, right by Statue of Liberty Park. Some awesome history. But anyway, Slam by the Harbor, Rick's Magazine. Go register, go get your tickets because you can't buy them at the gate. Ricksmag.com. Thank you for sponsoring the show. That's a solid plug. But yeah, no, seriously, they were gonna have a whole course set up in Jersey City, across from Manhattan, which I think was the perfect plan because right now they have the Formula E in Brooklyn, which is like the other side of Manhattan, and you just have a really awesome view of Manhattan. That's why, listen, if you don't know, New Yorkers don't like New Jerseyans for one reason. A, we have better bagels than them.
I was just about to say that. The bagels.
B, we have a sick view of New York. What does New York have?
Nothing.
Subpar bagels. No, they're pretty good. And a terrible view of New Jersey.
Yeah.
So it was the perfect place. It was the perfect place for a New York Grand Prix.
Right.
And I remember Red Bull was here. They went down the Lincoln Tunnel with their like the V10 show car that they have. Like it used to be their car, but now it's like just for promos. It was a whole thing. It was like back in 2012. I was a kid. I was 14, and I remember I was like, "Whoa, they're gonna do." And I think it was Sebastian Vettel, or it must have been at the time Sebastian Vettel, racing through the streets of I think Secaucus.
Really?
Yeah, like you see cars parked on the side of the street, and there's like a Red Bull coming around.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm like, this is nuts. I remember being 14 years old. I'm like, I'm going to it, and then nothing.
Never did it.
They didn't do it. There's more to that story. We'll maybe do a podcast about it one day because it's so close to home. Like it almost happened, and we probably would have been Formula One fans much.
Yeah,
we would have gone to it. At least watched it.
Yeah.
On TV.
And then
it's
we
right
would
there.
have got into it like way earlier.
If you don't know, both of us live about an hour from where that would have been.
Yeah.
It's right, and that's nothing. Like, I don't know where you live. If an hour's a far drive, that's not. We go there all the time.
Yeah.
We're gonna be there April 24th.
Yeah.
First Slam by the Harbor. If you want to go, tickets. Anyway. Anyway, but yeah, I'm still salty about that. I wish that happened, but I'm glad to see Vegas is on the calendar. I hope it's a good race because Caesar Palace back in the day was like the worst race ever. Because it was in a parking lot.
Like Miami.
But it's gonna be cool. Night race, Saturday night. Only a couple races ever in Formula One history have been on Saturday.
Yep. We should do it live that night and call it Saturday Night Live.
Can we? Is that? I gotta consult the lawyers.
Yeah, right. We gotta.
Can we call it Saturday Night Live? No, but yeah, I.
Do they have a patent on that name? Like.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Oh, do
like
they?
40-something seasons on television. I think they would have gotten out.
What about Saturday Day Live?
Sunday.
Saturday Midnight Live.
Mid-afternoon live. No, that'll definitely be a night podcast. I will not go like. It'll be 3 a.m. I'll be like buzzing and be like, "Did you see?" Anyway, hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's not like some like cheap shot race. I don't think so. But yeah, if you're on F1 Instagram, that's all they're talking about now is the Miami race. But another topic is we are reaching our peak race allotment. We can only have 23 races a season or 24, something like that. And we are coming dangerously close to that. We don't have to worry about Russia anymore. RIP. But also, sorry, not sorry. So that's good. But I remember there's 3. Because now we have Imola on the calendar as a pretty permanent thing. We have Saudi Arabia. We have Miami, at least for now. We'll see how that does. But there's even Monaco is being looked at and being like, do we still want to do Monaco? I think you should still do Monaco. I think you should still do Spa. I think the weakling here is France, who's out of contract.
Right.
And hasn't really proven to be a race.
France, Miami.
I remember last year I wasn't really looking forward to it. I was at Formula Drift and I was like, I got to watch the French Grand Prix tomorrow, so that's fun. And it ended up being a good race, but I wasn't looking forward to it at all. As much as I was looking forward to Spa. And
Spa's a great race.
It didn't happen this year, though. So
yeah,
I mean it did, but it didn't. Should we talk about Australia real quick before we wrap it up? What time is it?
It's 1:00.
Oh boy, I'm gonna be late to a thing. It's okay. Podcast first.
Yeah, we'll do Australia real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
Danny Rick. I was hoping he would be in a better car this year.
Yeah.
But McLaren.
Home Grand Prix.
McLaren have been up and down. They've been last place. They've been in the points.
They have not been first yet.
So who knows?
They're moving up each race. You never know. They were last, then they were 7th with Lando.
I gotta be honest, man.
They're in the points.
He didn't do it with Red Bull. He should have done it with Red Bull. Yeah. He was in a good spot with Red Bull, and
then he went to Renault.
Yeah, I'm like Lando, man. I don't have any sympathy for him.
Yeah.
No, I mean he made his move. I'm glad he made the move. I miss him at Red Bull. But I think he needed to make a move for his own career.
But I also like Checo there.
I love Checo there. I think Checo found a really good home there. I hope he stays there for at least another year.
Is he out of contract right now?
I don't know.
This year?
Mexico is, though. Mexico might drop.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So hopefully he has this year and maybe next year at Red Bull to get that home Grand Prix win. I want to see it. I love Checo. Checo's my favorite. I don't play favorites, but Checo's my favorite. I just think he's a really, really good guy. I'm sure someone on the internet has a video somewhere that proves that he's not, but I don't care. He's Checo. I love Checo.
It's Checo Perez, you know.
Yeah.
Australia.
So there's been some changes to the track. I'm not an engineer, so I can't comment on if it is a good thing or not. I guess we'll have to see next week.
Right.
But Albert Park has been the host of the Grand Prix for some time now. I know that the New South Wales... I'm not Australian, so I don't know geography of Australia. But New South Wales, where Sydney is, was trying to steal the Grand Prix away last year.
Really?
Yeah, because it wasn't Australia. It was the Providence that
Oh.
didn't want the Grand Prix in Melbourne. So they were like, if they don't do it, we'll do it. But luckily that didn't go through. I think that Albert Park is a good place to have a Grand Prix. I personally I like the vibe of that track.
Mhm.
And I think it's a really good season opener. It's third this season. It's better than nothing. It was supposed to be later in the season last year. It didn't end up happening at all. Yeah. Another race that I'm looking forward to is Japan.
Yep.
Japan and Australia, for me, are really good races in terms of the golden era of F1, the V10s and V8s. At one point, I know that Australia was, I think, the last round, as well as Japan and Brazil.
One of the last rounds.
Yeah, like tracks like that are meant to be the first or last round. Personally, though, we now have Dubai, and that's the best place for a last round, other than Brazil. I think Brazil has some crazy history and should be where the last round takes place. Dubai, though,
It's a good track.
it's inherited some good spots because of the championship.
Mhm.
The championship has been decided there a lot, so it has earned that, like, yeah, but, remember when Sebastian Vettel? Remember when Nico Rosberg? Dubai.
Remember when Max Verstappen?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Right.
it's inherited a lot of that just by being the last race on the
Yeah.
calendar. So we now have Dubai to take that spot. So we don't worry about the last race. First race of the year, Sydney. No, I messed up. Melbourne, Australia.
Not Sydney.
Not
Sydney.
Sydney. No, not Sydney. Well, I know at one point they almost had it in Sydney. There was even Williams, much like Red Bull in New York, did some demo runs on the famous bridge they have there. But it never came to fruition, probably because of money. Yeah, some tracks I would like to see back. The Indian Grand Prix. I think that was a cool Grand Prix. Does it have a spot?
Probably not.
No. Just straight up, no. Like,
Why not, though?
if you look, I mean, there's this whole story. Again, I want to do a podcast episode when we don't have a race to talk about races that were and no longer are, or that should be but will never be, because money and politics are such a big thing in Formula One.
Right.
But basically, they had a Grand Prix, I think, 2 years in India, pretty decent track, but the Indian government took like an insane amount of percentage of ticket sales. So it just didn't make financial sense for Formula One to go there. And the argument is like, yo, you make a ton of money of people flying in, staying there, eating there. Like, tourism alone rises crazy in India, or at least in that part of India, during this weekend. Why do you?
happens?
Yeah, like, the ticket sales are F1s. You can take a little bit, but not that much. You know what I mean? Plus, your country's on the stage. You know what I mean? I think if one day we have an Indian driver in F1, I think Ruvala is Indian. I think he is. I don't watch F2.
Yeah.
I really should. We'll watch F2. We'll start watching F2.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe when this becomes our jobs.
Yeah. Right.
Right.
Maybe.
Maybe.
But I think we should wrap it up because
Let's wrap it up because I got
negative 3 minutes.
I gotta get ready. I gotta drive 40 minutes.
Yep.
I'm gonna be late. On a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you for the Australian Grand Prix?
On a scale from 1 to 10?
Yes. 10 being like you want it to happen right now.
8.3 and a half.
Pretty decent.
8.35.
Yeah, you can't wait.
I'm very excited for that race.
I am too. I think the drivers know it more than Bahrain and Saudi.
Right.
So as long as the cars are reliable and set up correctly, I think we're in for a decent race. Who knows? We'll see. Free practice and qualifying will tell the story. And then, of course, we'll know what kind of race we're in for.
Right.
So that's about it. That's it.
All right, guys.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. If you'd like to watch the podcast, we record the podcast
On
and
YouTube.
put it on our YouTube channel,
Yep.
Overtake Media. We are a car YouTube channel that does car things for the internet. We do cool stuff.
And apparently podcasts.
Yeah, but now we're getting into podcasts. Now we're getting into racing.
Mm-hmm.
Never really got into racing before. I want to give a quick shout out to Ryan Turk, Formula Drift driver. Ryan Turk, for his first win of the season, first round of the season, Formula Drift. I know this is a Formula 1 podcast and you guys don't care, but dude just had a baby. Not him personally, his wife had a baby. But he was able to compete this weekend in Long Beach, California, round 1, and win it pretty convincingly against his teammate Frederick Osbo, his compatriots, Matt Field, Odie Buckshees, and a lot of other guys. But he was able to win it pretty convincingly in his Rain-X Toyota Corolla GR Corolla, which is not actually a GR Corolla. It's just a regular Corolla with GR bumpers. But shout out to him. He deserves it, and I hope he wins the championship. We are not a Formula Drift podcast, so I can say that. I am biased as hell. Go get him, Turk. Any other thing you want to throw in?
Yeah, no.
No? That was so off the cuff. I don't know. I love drifting, so...
I think we should end it here. No?
Yeah, we'll end it here.
Okay.
Yeah, I gotta get ready.
Yeah, I know you do.
I gotta take a shower. I'm sweaty.
Yeah.
I just took a shower and I gotta take another one. Thanks for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching, guys.
And we'll see you next week for the Australian Grand Prix.
Grand Prix.
The Australian Grand Prix.
I just said Grand P.
Grand Prix.
Grand P.
Crown P.
Grand P. For the Australian GP.